When strangers approached the porch, they froze. A tiny baby sat quietly, surrounded by towering German shepherds. Their golden eyes locked onto anyone who came too close, their massive frames shielding the child like an unbreakable wall. What happened next proved one truth. These dogs didn't see a baby. They saw family. From the very first day she came home, the baby was never truly alone. Waiting at the door were 5 towering German shepherds, their ears pricked, their eyes glowing with curiosity. Instead of fear or distance, something extraordinary happened. Each of these huge dogs leaned closer, sniffed gently, and accepted her as if she was already part of their pack. As the weeks passed, the bond only grew stronger. Wherever the baby was placed, one shepherd always lay nearby, a silent guardian watching every breath she took. When she cried, another rushed forward, nudging her gently, as if trying to comfort her. They didn't see her as fragile or different. It was in these quiet, everyday moments that a powerful truth revealed itself. The baby didn't just have parents watching over her. She had an army of protectors. Life in the house soon found a rhythm. But one thing never changed: the watchful presence of the German shepherds. Every morning, as the baby stirred in her crib, the sound of soft paws echoed in the hallway. One by one, the dogs appeared, forming a silent semicircle around her bed, their tails thumping lightly against the floor. When she crawled across the living room, the shepherds instinctively shifted. 2 walked ahead like scouts, while another followed behind, as if protecting her from every direction. Even the smallest action, a stumble, a wobble, a curious reach for something dangerous, was met with swift intervention. A large paw would gently block her path, or a furry body would position itself like a barrier, keeping her safe. Nap time. The guardianship never ended. While the baby dozed, one dog always remained stationed at the doorway, eyes sharp, ears alert, refusing to move until she woke. To outsiders, it looked like discipline, but to the family, it was love expressed in the purest form. Every moment of her day carried a simple, unshakable truth. She was never unprotected, never alone, because her pack never let their puppy out of sight. It was an ordinary afternoon when the first true test came. The baby was playing near the porch, her tiny hands clutching a soft toy, while the shepherds lounged around her like shadows. The air was calm, the house quiet, until a knock at the gate startled them all. That a neighbor had come to drop off a package. To the man, it was nothing more than a friendly visit. But to the dogs, it was different. In an instant, their relaxed bodies stiffened. Ears shot up, tails lowered, and a low rumble of warning echoed from deep within their chests. They rose together, moving in perfect unison. Placing themselves between the baby and the approaching figure, the neighbor froze, his smile fading as 5 massive German shepherds stood like sentinels, their golden eyes locked on him. Not one barked wildly. Instead, their stance spoke louder than words. "Don't come closer." Only when the baby's mother appeared and greeted the neighbor warmly did the tension break. The dogs glanced at her, recognized her trust, and slowly eased. Yet, in that moment, everyone watching realized something undeniable. The shepherd's loyalty was not casual. They were willing to challenge anyone, even friends, to keep their baby safe. As the baby grew, so did the sense of unity between her and the German shepherds. They were no longer just guardians circling her crib or blocking strangers. They had accepted her as part of their pack. To them, she wasn't simply a child of the household. She was their smallest, most precious puppy. When she took her first wobbly steps, the shepherds adjusted their roles instinctively. 2 flanked her sides like loyal bodyguards, ready to catch her if she stumbled. Another followed close behind, nudging her gently forward, while the largest of the group stayed just ahead, guiding her path. It was as if they had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, moving seamlessly around her fragile steps. Even simple play carried the weight of their devotion. When she toddled toward the backyard, they fanned out like a protective shield. When she fell on the grass, they leaned close, noses brushing against her, reassuring her that she was safe. The baby laughed, unaware of the powerful force surrounding her. But to anyone who watched, the truth was impossible to ignore. This was no ordinary bond. This was a pack united by love, and their smallest member was at its heart. One late afternoon, the house fell into a golden calm. The baby, now crawling confidently, moved toward the open doorway, giggling as sunlight spilled across the floor. The shepherds followed as always, their eyes alert, their bodies forming a loose wall around her. It felt like just another ordinary day, until a shadow crossed the gate that a stranger approached. His footsteps were slow, uncertain, and his presence instantly changed the air. Before he could even speak, the shepherd stiffened. In perfect rhythm, they surged forward, their massive frames creating an unbreakable barrier between the baby and the intruder. Low growls rumbled from their chests, a warning that needed no translation. The stranger froze. The sharp gleam in their eyes, the precision of their stance, it was enough to stop him in his tracks. He raised his hands, stammering that he meant no harm. But the shepherds weren't taking chances. Their barks exploded like thunder, echoing across the yard, shaking the stranger to his core. The baby, too young to understand danger, simply clapped her hands and laughed. But to her guardians, the threat was real, and their message was clear: no one touches her. Only when the father stepped outside, signaling calm, did the tension dissolve. The stranger quickly retreated, his face pale. In that chilling moment, one truth became undeniable. The shepherds weren't just protective. They were ready to stand between life and danger, no matter the cost. For the parents, watching this bond unfold was both humbling and comforting. At first, they had been cautious. After all, these were massive dogs, strong enough to overpower almost anything. But over time, every doubt melted away. What they saw each day wasn't force or dominance, but gentleness beyond measure. The mother often whispered to friends, "I don't worry when she crawls outside. She's never alone. She has 5 angels watching her." And she meant it. While most parents relied only on fences, cribs, or cameras, this family relied on loyalty, love, and instincts sharper than any humans. The father, too, found peace in knowing his daughter's every giggle, every stumble, was shadowed by protective eyes. To them, the shepherds were not pets. They were guardians chosen by fate. And within that trust, the parents discovered something rare, a sense of security deeper than words could ever express. That Tio the baby. The shepherds were never intimidating giants. They were her playmates, her constant companions. She giggled as she tugged at their ears, her tiny fingers gripping fur that would have terrified anyone else. Yet the dogs never flinched. They only leaned closer, their eyes soft, their patience endless. When she crawled onto their massive backs, they lowered themselves gently, allowing her to climb as though she were royalty riding her loyal steeds. If she stumbled or fell against them, they absorbed the impact without a sound, offering warmth instead of resistance. Sometimes, she would press her small face against theirs, babbling words only she understood. The shepherds seemed to understand anyway. Their tails wagged slowly, their noses nuzzled her cheeks. And in those tender exchanges, something powerful was revealed. She wasn't simply being protected, she was being loved, cherished, and claimed as one of their OWNAS. Dusk settled over the neighborhood. The final scene of the day played out like a painting. The baby sat on a soft blanket in the yard, her laughter ringing through the evening air. Around her, the German shepherds formed a living circle, their silhouettes tall and unwavering against the fading light. Their eyes glowed softly, not with suspicion, but with devotion. One by one, they shifted closer, their bodies creating a warm fortress around the child. To anyone passing by, it was breathtaking. 5 enormous guardians encircling the smallest member of their family, as if the world itself could not reach her. In that moment, the truth was undeniable. These weren't just dogs protecting a baby. They believed she was theirs, their puppy, their future. The parents stood at the doorway, their hearts full. They knew fences might break, alarms might fail, but this pack never would. Loyalty lived in their blood, love burned in their hearts, and no danger would ever cross their line. The baby leaned against the alpha, her tiny hand resting on his chest. He lowered his head gently, exhaling a deep sigh, content in his role as her protector. It was a bond no one could explain, yet everyone could feel. And as the stars blinked awake above, one message became clear: family doesn't always look the same, but it always loves the same.